this month. Medaling in Miami, miniature across the Atlantic, and maxed out in the Pacific.
Probably the most water I've seen, but really, really good fun.
The World Sailing Show goes on tour, and it starts in the Middle East. Oman, Arabia, a spectacular setting for a well-established event. But sailing Arabia's The Tour has changed. Starting with the boats, with a fleet of lightweight, high-speed trimarans, Diam 24s that can bite. The format has also changed, with 2 weeks of import and coastal racing for the 8 teams as they work their way north from Salalah to the finish in Matra. With the breeze up, the event opened with a bang. Valentin Belle's Beja Floor team was on fire, scoring 2 wins from the 3 opening races. They drove the point home the next day too, winning the 35-mile coastal race as the fleet scorched along Oman's shoreline. Such early dominance sent a clear signal to defending champion Thierry Douillard and his team aboard EFG Bank Monaco. Vale and his crew were here to win.
For Beja Floor, it was a very good day today with a free race. We scored 1, 2 and 1, so very good day for us. Today it's a very strong wind and we like with Beja Floor this condition.
Others didn't fare so well.
It was strong wind with the gust, I think 33 knot, something like that. And we had big gust and we capsized, and I can't remember exactly again.
Whatever the result, the task for all started with mastering the new machine. Used in the famous Tour de France à la voile, the DM24 is well known for being light, fast and nimble. Those with previous experience had an advantage.
Any other multi-hull you could have said would be a good training to race this boat, especially because now you're doing like reaching starts and so yeah, it's all the same than other multi-hulls, and I think all the experience we have for the past in the Olympics or other circuits is good to go fast on this one. But we still have a lot to improve.
Another key difference this year sees the Tour hit the road as the DM24s are packed into trailers, allowing a wider variety of venues to be used.
It's not a lot of fun packing the boat every few days. That's pretty hard work, to be honest, and again, it's a subtle, the race can be won and lost in the packing and the rigging of the boat. You make a mistake there, you can really set yourself back.
So, after a 600-kilometre road trip north, the fleet regrouped in Dukmar for leg 2. Here, Belle's team took another win in the 23-mile coastal race, while Douillard's EFG Bank Monaco took the upper hand for the import racing.
I think we've been consistent all the day. We're always on top 3. We won the race twice second. Mathieu Richard took a really good start every time, and we good speed, and I think we managed our tactics to play the shift and also to be sometimes conservative. So it's a good day. Happy.
The next stop was the island of Mazaira and a 40-kilometre coastal race. This time, it was EFG Monaco who won both the coastal and stadium races. Then, a new winner, as Viva Car took the second and third races of the following day.
We had very good communication, especially in the 2 last races. Good speed and a bit of luck, and that's how the two wins happened.
By this stage, Beja Floor led overall with a healthy 8-point advantage over EFG Monaco in second. A strong breeze and big waves raised the stakes for the next coastal raid to Sur. Here, Morrison's team were set to take the win until the last mark of the course.
Unfortunately, yeah, we had a breakage on our furling mechanism at the front. It blew up. We got back to second, so if you'd said that before the start of the day, then we'd be over the moon. But feels like the one that got away.
The breakdown allowed Beja Floor through to extend their overall lead. Come the final races, the weather changed gear, but the pecking order didn't. In light winds, Beija Flor continued their winning ways, taking the event with a day to spare.
It's a surprise for us to win before the last day. We want to win this regatta, but we win like that is a surprise, so we are very happy of that.
Behind them, the battle for second continued. But in the end, nothing changed, as EFG Bank Monaco held off the challenge from Averda, who remained in third. After 2 weeks, 7 stages, 8 teams and 24 races, the new format tour had been a demanding and closely fought affair. Testing conditions lay in store for crews at the World Cup Series in Miami. But the event also stood out for the high standard of competition and the number of big names on the podium. Among them, Giles Scott, who took gold with ease in the Finn. In the laser, it was Tom Burton who took the top spot, with Alison Young taking gold in the women's class, the laser radial. In the 470 women, Tina Mirak and Veronica Makarol dominated their class, while Luke Patience and Chris Grube put on a similar performance in the men's division. A dominant performance was delivered in the NACRA 17 class, where Jason Waterhouse and Lisa Darmanin stormed to victory. But there were other classes that saw closer competition. Louis Giard had to fight for the gold in the men's RSX, while Hélène Noes-Moen's victory came down to just 1 point. As did gold for Dylan Fletcher-Scott and Stuart Bithell in the 49er. During the Miami series, news broke of an important step for disabled sailing and its quest to get reinstated in the Paralympics. According to the International Paralympic Committee, sailing, along with several other sports, has progressed to the next stage of the sports application process for Paris 2024. The final decision will be announced in January 2019. At the end of last year, French solo sailor Ian Lipinski won a big yacht race in a tiny boat. With a cabin smaller than your cupboard under the stairs, and with inner workings more complex than a laptop computer, the 6.5-metre-long boat is stuffed full of kit and controls. In fact, it's so small, you don't so much get aboard a mini transat boat as wear one. For 4,000 miles, from La Rochelle to Martinique, across the Atlantic. The size of the boats, the length of the race, and their disproportionate high performance has made the Mini Transat race a legendary event. In winning the 2017 race overall, Lipinski beat a fiercely competitive field of 80 solo sailors. Many will be tomorrow's offshore rock stars. So what is life like aboard a Mini Transat boat? Ian Lipinski gave us a tour.
Today we'll take the boat to Port Nichet for the first leg of the French Championships. This race will take place in a week, so I'll deliver the boat there, then it will be on site. I'm going to sail 40 kilometres in medium winds, but with the spinnaker it'll be nice. We'll pass in front of Quiberon Bay, Ouat and the Odek Islands. Then we'll arrive at Port Nichet in the afternoon. We've put the spinnaker up and we're heading towards Quiberon. And now we've done all of that, we need to move all the equipment inside the boat. The equipment is spread everywhere inside. On this point of sail, I need to move it all to the back of the boat in order to balance the boat to go as fast as possible. We've prepared everything we need for this race. We have all the food, clothes, security and equipment on board. We've almost 100 kilos of kit on the boat during the race, so after each manoeuvre we need to move it to get the best out of the boat. On board we need plenty of power for the autopilot, navigation lights and GPS. The power's only produced from solar panels. The boat's performance depends a lot on the power that we have. If there's a shortage of power, it wouldn't be good, because when you're on the sea all by yourself, it's pretty annoying if you can't put the autopilot on. See this weather? It's cloudy, yet I have to charge a little more than I consume. But if it's a sunny day, the power that I have would easily be enough. The wind is getting stronger. Our speed's around 11 to 12 knots. I changed the spinnaker to the medium one because it's better in this wind. We'll arrive soon and we'll see if there's anyone to help or whether I have to do it alone. It's a bit tricky to enter the harbour under sail. The manoeuvre has to be done carefully. Well, this time I handled it by myself.
The Mini Transat may be one of the smallest offshore race boats in the world, but it and its crews have big reputations. Coming up next, how do you change gear on a Volvo 65? Plus, a snapshot of the future. Welcome back. Still to come, what are the best boats in Europe? And what might the future have in store? But first, with 9 sails to choose from as they race south through the Pacific, how do crews know when to change gear aboard a Volvo 65?
We've got a yacht race going on.
Previously in the Volvo Ocean Race.
Beautiful brother ocean.
Pulled the track off the back of the mast.
See a whale feeding. Oh, that was pretty cool.
This is the scenario what we call the rich get richer.
Only reason we found you is you put your arm in the air.
Since the start in Alicante last October, the pace has been relentless. Long legs, short stopovers, and little time to recover. But as the fleet arrived in Hong Kong after 19,000 miles, the race changed gear. The focus now was on import racing in 2 venues, with a short 100-mile delivery trip in between. Sadly, the celebrations at the end of a challenging leg to Hong Kong from Australia have been overshadowed by the collision between Vestas 11th Hour Racing and a fishing boat that had resulted in a fatality. The team was badly shaken and their boat seriously damaged. According to a statement from the team,
the only viable option was to ship the boat and equipment to New Zealand ahead of the Volvo Ocean Race fleet and carry out the necessary repairs there.
Now there were 6. Light and shifty winds made life tricky for navigators and tacticians in the 2 import races in Hong Kong. The results saw the leaderboard reordered, with Dongfeng taking the overall lead in the import series, but only just. Akzo Nobel was quick to take the first win of 2 import races. After a 100-mile delivery trip north to Guangzhou, it was time for another round the boys race, and more light winds. Mapfre was back on top, winning the race and leading the import series once again. Now it was time to change gear as teams prepared for leg 6 to Auckland, New Zealand. A 6,100-mile drag race south, where changing gear at the right time would be critical. Each boat is limited to a total of 17 sails for the race, and only 9 are allowed on board for each leg. Picking the right sail combination is key, as is knowing when to change. So what's in a Volvo 65's wardrobe? And how do crews choose? Mapfre's Rob Greenhalgh explains.
Mainsail, obviously everyone has a mainsail, very similar sail to last race. This new one is slightly smaller in the head. J1, so that's our normal conventional jib on the forestay, that's our upwind and reaching sail. We've then got a J2, which is a solent jib, which stepped back from the forestay. That is for upwind work in windy conditions. We've then got a J3, which people may also call the Genoa staysail, and that essentially acts as a staysail inside spinnakers and inside jibs. We've then got the fractional 0, which is predominantly our reaching sail, so reaching in 12 knots upwards basically, and then as it gets windier you just bear away with that sail until you're running with it in 25 knots of wind. We've then got the masthead 0, which is essentially a bit of a workhorse. That's there to get the boat through the light air. Big, tight luff jib. We've then got our A3, it's a furling spinnaker. That's what we use downwind in, you know, all conditions until it's too windy. Then the new sail they've introduced is the J0, which is basically an upwind jib. Last race we found there was a gap. You know, you'd be on the masthead 0, it would get too much for that, and then you went to the J1 and it was a bit too light for that. So then you might use a fractional sail upwind, and that was a little bit tricky, so J0 has come into the inventory to fill that upwind gap basically. And it's just up to the teams to figure out how to use it all.
But sail selection wasn't the only critical call that lay ahead. The opening stages of the 6,000-mile leg to Auckland presented some tricky tactical challenges. 2 days into the leg, the Luzon Strait provided the first test. Team Brunel pulled out a slim lead in the punchy conditions. Then came the big gamble as Axo Noble and Team Honkai Scallywag tacked off to the north.
So ultimately this is long-term, trying to hook into that northerly breeze more than anything. So yeah, we in theory will get into that first and then be able to be in a position to use the pressure there to come bows down back at the fleet and over the top of them hopefully.
But it didn't work. 3 days into the leg, both teams were more than 100 miles behind the leaders as the breeze switched off.
This feels wrong. Very wrong.
While further south and in perfect conditions, the front runners were at full pace.
Probably the most water I've seen earlier. The driving was like averaging 30, 33 knots a breeze and just jamming into these waves at sort of 25, 26, 28 knots of boat speed. So yeah, probably the most water I've seen, but really, really good fun.
But with over 4,000 miles still to go and the light winds of the doldrums ahead, this leg was a long way from over. Seeing the front runners slow down, Axo Noble and Scallywag altered course to avoid the light weather trap and hauled back their 100-mile deficit before taking the lead. Just as the doldrums had shuffled the pack on the way to Hong Kong, the return trip threatened to do the same. Join us next month to see who came out on top. It's awards time, and the winners in the European Yachts of the Year were the Club Swan 50. Built by the famous Finnish company Nautor Swan, the 50 strikes a clever balance between its role as a performance cruiser and life in the fast lane as a Grand Prix racer. Also in the performance scene, Benetton's new Figaro 3 took the Special Yacht Award. The third-generation short-handed offshore one design for the race of the same name, the new boat is a radical machine with curved dagger boards to increase stability and performance. In the cruising categories, the Jeannot Sun Odyssey 440 took the title in the family cruiser category, while the Amel 50 won the Luxury Cruiser Award. And in the multi-hull class, the Neil 51 went home with the silverware. The link between this and the future of sailing isn't obvious at first. But for a Swiss-based designer with a track record for innovation, the common connection was simple: air. From fun to flying, inflatable structures are used in many ways. And to Edouard Kessy, creating a sail by inflating it rather than hoisting it was the way ahead. Kessy has a reputation for thinking outside the box. In the 1980s, he developed the early paragliders. In 2002, he and his partner developed 3DI, an innovative way of constructing sails that is now popular in the racing scene around the world. And in 2010, he worked on the giant inflatable hangar for the solar-powered plane Solar Impulse 2. The benefits of single sails and no rigging to support the mast have been known and exploited for many years. With few control lines and no rigging to restrict the movement of the sail when it's let out, simplicity has made the Laser the most popular dinghy in the world. But Kessie's inflated wing sail takes the concept a stage further. A telescopic mast inside the sail is raised and lowered electronically, while a series of simple, low-pressure air pumps inflate the sail.
The cloth is not airtight. Then all the air goes through the seams, but if you integrate more air than it goes out, you create the overpressure. 1 to 2 grams per square centimeters of pressure. This is 2 millibars. It's 1,000 times less than the air in your tire of your car. You need to be ventilated all the time, but the electricity used for this, it's very simple fans, radial fans who just take in air. You can have any type of power, so electricity from lithium batteries or from the solar or from the water, any type of way.
The shape of the sail plays an important part as well. Unlike a conventional sail, Kessie's inflatable wing has a symmetrical section shape, making it more efficient, allowing the boat to sail more upright. In stronger winds, the bottom sections of the sail are deflated and the mast height reduced to reef the wing. Simple. And the benefits don't stop there.
IWS mast is about 30% lighter than a normal mast, sails and boom. Cost-wise, if you include everything, the winches of a normal boat will be the same or cheaper.
But Kessie believes there's an even bigger future for the system.
I think the first goal is to reach the popular sailors. The sailors who want to sail with no strength anymore, just they want to sail for the pleasure and to hoist the sail and not looking about trimming the sail. The second step is to integrate a project for big boats like, say, cruising boats or tankers or ships to help the motoring of the boat.
So far, the proof of concept has been aboard a small boat on a Swiss lake. But its success, along with Kessie's track record, suggest his big plans and bold ambitions are far from overinflated ideas. Next month, Hong Kong to London the hard way, in a 70-foot, lightweight, high-speed multi-hull. Maseratis race against time.